Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Wicked Wilds Campfire Tales, the only podcast where you come, you learn, I teach you the real truth with the help of some of my friends. Join us tonight. We got Dave. How you doing, Dave?
Doing well, Eli. How are you?
Oh, living the dream, living the dream. Anything fun and new, exciting happening in your life?
It's just beginning to become that time of year, Eli. It's the warm feelings are washing over me, the kids' anticipation for the holiday season. The music is just right, and my good friend Eli is just glowing with the miraculous power of Christmas.
You know
I'm
what?
in a good place. I'm in a good place.
In all fairness, I walked into that, but just
You sure
remember,
did.
I promised you some episodes back. One day ash will fill your mouth and you will know the debt has been paid. I remember that.
Hey, don't ask questions you don't want answers
I'll
to.
remember that. I'll remember that. Also joining us tonight, his triumphant return after going on sabbatical to various 7-Eleven bathrooms across the nation.
The
We
prodigal
got
bum.
we got John. How you doing, John?
I'm good. Apparently, we are all basking in your glow in this Christmas season.
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. You know what? I come here, try to educate you too, send you out here with an education, take the wool off your eyes, and this is how you treat me?
With love and compassion and camaraderie. Yes, that's how we treat you.
Bah humbug.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Don't you use them curse
You
words
know
here.
what? I just now thought of this. Can you believe the person he married starts the beginning of the season?
Exactly.
At least the seasonal phrase.
Exactly.
So every time he's like, hey, Mary, she should be like, Christmas.
Ooh.
You know what? First off, don't appreciate you spreading out ideas. Don't appreciate it. All right? Don't appreciate that one bit. Secondly, how dare you? Thirdly, who do you think you are? And just as John has returned, this will be his last 5 minutes on the podcast. Everybody say bye, John.
See ya.
Well, hey, boys. So, as we all know, last week on the main show, we talked about that little humdiddy Ravenous. So, I thought tonight we would talk about the Donner Party. Either one of you guys know a bit about the Donner Party?
Isn't that like some cool rave kids go to or something?
Just no respect. You got no respect, young man.
I'm playing the part of all the people out there that are like, what are you talking about? Because I know about the Donner Party. I don't know the true truth that you're going to share with us. I don't know the TikTok truth, but I'm here for it.
Oh, man.
I think there was a Donner Party every time they wrapped one of the Lethal Weapon movies, wasn't there?
Got him.
Wow.
Dad jokes.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Oh, I love it.
Well,
I hope you got more.
For those of you out there that don't know, the Donner Party is the most infamous story involving cannibalism in the U.S. It's a long, tragic, and what I think most scholars described as one of the most fucked up tales to occur to a group of people during the westward expansion days in the U.S. in the 1800s. That's around. I will give a little disclaimer. This is one of the craziest stories that has many parts and paths, all crazier than the ones before it. We could literally do a whole podcast on the Donner Party that would have 11 seasons. So I've condensed it into the main story. I would definitely recommend everybody going out there and doing your research. And I don't do this often. Some of you may be surprised by this. I am an avid reader. I enjoy reading. I know how to read. There's a really good book on the Donner Party called The Indifferent Stars Above. Highly recommend if you like to read and you want to read about cannibalism and very sad people to give it a read. It's a very good book. There's some really cool stories in it and cool and sad stories.
I don't know that you have a future in marketing, but okay.
Listen, I tell the truth, all right? I don't candy coat it, okay?
Eli, what you need in the background though is like some really happy banjo celebratory music as you talk about all of these wonderful, terrible things. Just so it's like the movie that we talked about last week.
No, I don't want stupid music behind me.
He just needs one string to just pluck. Plang, 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 plang.
And it's like, so basically they were trying to imitate Psycho and did it awfully.
Listen, if you're calling that an imitation to Psycho, to me, whoever decided to make that imitation never saw Psycho, had somebody off the street and go, there's this movie, I don't remember what it's called or what it's about, but there's this really famous sound in it. And I think it goes something like twangy, twingy, ping, ping, or something. I don't remember. And that guy was like, oh, I think I can copy that. And then he was like, oh, it's based off Psycho. And everybody that ever watched Psycho go, I don't remember that in Psycho.
And we've lost the plot already.
So that should be your musical intro for the Donner Party. Pling, plang, plonk, pling, plang, plonk.
You son of a bitch. But hey, anyways, back to the Donner Party, shall we? The Donner Party was a group of pioneers who were located in the Midwest in the 1800s. And during the time, California had opened up. And they were trying to get folks to go to California to get farms. And there was these things where they were given cheap land to go out and start farming and living, cultivating California. So a lot of pioneers at the time made that travel. There were very specific rules when it comes to traveling because obviously they're in carts and buggies on foot. It was a long travel. It took months. There was well-known trails that people would take and pay guides to take them along. And the big rule of thumb was when you left there was a small window that you could leave the Midwest to get there. So that way you got through the right terrain and area at the right seasons of the year, because you had to cross the Sierra Mountains and you did not want to do that in the winter because that was a terrible time to do it. The folks who made up the Donner Party, there was many families. One of the most famous families was the Grave family. There were 3 sisters, the Grave sisters and their children, some other folks. They happened to come across a gentleman who wrote this book claiming that he had found a shortcut to California that shaved off a dramatic amount of time and that it was the safest, easiest route to go. What this gentleman failed to mention, no one ever took that trail. He never took that trail. And if he would have asked people that was familiar with that route, they would have told him, this is the absolute worst trail to take. Just kind of like what the story in Ravenous, right? So this gentleman decided, because he was trying to get money, get people to follow his trail, and he decided, well, I'm going to take a group of people along my trail, which is the best trail. And so the poor folks who fell for those shenanigans was the folks that made up the Donner Party. Because they thought this was such a shortcut, they're like, we don't gotta leave, we don't have to leave within the accepted time frame, which was no later than than April. Like the absolute latest you wanted to leave was March. Well, these folks thought, well, we got this big shortcut. They left towards the end of April, which wasn't good for them. And they started their trek across the U.S. to California. Now, they were plagued by many issues in their travels. Sickness kept breaking out. It was hard terrain. There was some tribes of indigenous people who were fighting with pioneers and the army because basically they were giving away their land, and so they weren't
happy with that.
They thought, hey, this is our land, and the U.S. was like, nope, ours now, and they're like, well, that's not cool. We really wish you wouldn't do that, and they're like, can't hear you. We're too busy giving away your land.
The way you get your destiny is to manifest your destiny.
Ooh. Nailed it.
Is manifest another word for just take other people's shit?
Yeah, it's an old Viking term, is what it is.
Oh
Uh,
man.
so they were attacked multiple times. A lot of their livestock that they were taking with them to California was taken and killed. Many of their horses, some of their wagons were destroyed. So once they finally got to where they were ready to cross the mountains, they were in really bad shape. They didn't have a lot of food left. They lost a lot of their supplies. They lost a lot of people. And as they get to an area which is famously known as Truckee Lake, which I believe is in Utah, right before you get into the mountain range, it started to snow. And they hadn't even started crossing the mountain yet, which is the worst time to be crossing the mountains, apparently, is when you get drastic snowstorms, which that area was known for. So they knew they were in bad shape. So the leader of the party, and he took some men, they decided that they were going to go on ahead, try to trek out the rest of the trail, the best trail, and that they were going to try to find help to help come back with them to get them across the mountains. And so they went on ahead. They then had another group of people who thought, no, we don't really want to cross the mountains during the winter. Seems like a bad idea. There was some old like hunting and like foraging, like old like kind of these cabin things near the lake. They're like, we're just gonna stay at the lake and wait till winter to pass. And
Yeah, that was going to be my first question: is why didn't they just dig in and wait? They already were in bad shape. But
well, that was their argument, but the rest of the party decided, no, 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 no. We can cross the mountains because
the magic shortcut.
right. And they also had there was two indigenous folks that was hired as guides who they were like, this seems like a bad idea. And they're like, you can guide us right through. We'll be fine.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna like not to dive it too much into modern situations, but this seems an awful lot like a pandemic like solutions that came up. Like, nah, it's not a big deal. We got this. We're good.
We're not even at the worst part yet.
Oh,
and the people that decided to stay at the lake, they had a really hard winter until they could get help. They had really bad luck there as well, but it was nowhere near as bad.
I was going to say, did they eat anybody?
No, but what happened to them was they were starting to starve and like they were trying to hunt fish, but the weather was cold and stuff like that. One day, a grizzly bear comes out of the woods and starts attacking them. And like this grizzly bear fucks up a bunch of them. They still somehow managed to kill the grizzly bear so they could eat it, but they were all fucked up from it. Because like anybody that knows anything about bear attacks, yes, you may kill that bear, but you're gonna be fucked up.
They don't go down easy.
No. If you're ever looking for a rabbit hole to go down one night, that will make you never want to sleep or go to Alaska, look up bear attacks in Alaska. There's some doozy of a stories you'll find.
Apparently, even if you're in a bus and you forget to leave the damn back door open.
No, well, that was that stupid son of a bitch's fault for not shutting the back door.
That poor guy.
So you have these poor folks who are battered and the shit kicked out by a grizzly bear, forced to spend the rest of the winter by the lake, which turned out was the smartest move
of some dumb moves.
Of some many dumb moves. As the rest of the party decided to go up in the mountains, they did not get very far. People got hurt. Some people got sick. They were out of food. And so they kind of split off into three groups and kind of bunkered down in different areas to try to ride out until the other group of folks could come help them. And like they were in bad shape. Like I said, they were starving. It was down to the point where they were completely out of food. They were eating their shoe leather, their belt leather. They were eating hide blankets, like, leather hide blankets and stuff they had. A lot of them got sick. A lot of them suffered from snow blindness, which is from walking through the snow and the sun, you go blind, because they didn't have enough. They had like these contraptions they would make that kind of these like slits that you could see through that so that you wouldn't get the glare in your eyes. They didn't have a lot of them because, believe it or not, they didn't have a lot of anything. And so they all kind of bunkered down to the 3 areas. And that is when the horror begins.
Oh man,
That's all set up.
That is where the horrors begin.
so if I was a betting man, and I was a part of this party, I would have taken all these other things as signs or omens or just, general hints that you might want to like go back.
Before we get into the tales of these 3 groups, just a couple little fun facts for you gentlemen. Of the 87 member party that initially set off for California, only 48 survived.
So almost 50% then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are the lake people, I'm assuming.
A big portion of them, like a quarter of those survivors were the lake people. They spent, these folks, these parties, 3 groups of people spent the majority of the winter between 1846 and 1847 stuck and snowed in the mountains. So if you think like winter months, like you're looking like November to like February-ish, they were stuck in these mountains with little supplies. There was men, women, and children stuck there on a mountain, deep snow. At times, snow was 3-4 feet deep. And that's how they spent most of their winter.
Nothing to hunt.
Nothing to hunt, nothing to scavenge.
Were they at altitude? I don't remember.
I do not, they weren't, in my readings, they weren't, like, I don't think they were ever above altitude where, like, that would play an effect, like altitude sickness, stuff like that. They did not make it very far into the mountains, believe it or not, because by the time they were going to the mountains, they were literally eating their fucking shoes.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't make it real far there.
Right.
So while they're now stuck in the mountains, the first group that separated off to scout out the trail, they actually made it through. Not easily. And they managed to come across a fort that there were many government soldiers, because you're now in the beginning days of the Spanish-American War. So they basically come to this fort and they're like, hey, listen, we were this traveling party. We're in a bad shape. We left them before the mountains. We think they may have went into the mountains, which isn't good. Can you give us men, people, supplies, or anything, so that way we can go and rescue them and at least bring them here, because they're probably in bad shape. We have people sick and old people, kids, stuff like that.
That sounds very familiar.
It does sound very familiar. Where the difference is, they kept being like, no, we're like getting ready to start a war. We need our people.
That's not really our problem.
And finally, like, some of the guys were like, well, if you send people with us to help them, we'll join the army and here and work and fight. So then the commander of the fort was like, that's the ticket. And so he sent out a group of a couple soldiers. And because this guy, like the one guy that was kind of leading them, his wife had stayed behind with the party. That's an important fact. Remember that. The guy that was taking the rescue party to go rescue them left his wife there. Important fact.
Just a moment. Let me write that down.
Yeah. Important fact.
It
Got
will
it.
be on the final.
It will be on the final.
Got it. Wife left behind. Hashtag important. Got it. I just want to make sure I can search my notes for that later.
Yeah. Because I'm on turn, because like there's a lot to this story. So like normally I can do everything from memory. There's a lot of notes to this one. So I want to make sure I tell it right?
I hear you.
Let's make this accurate.
I want to make it semi-accurate. So this group, these folks, they managed to make it to they found the first group of these like small. They had built these like makeshift cabins, and so when the rescue party came up, they got into like the first group of cabins they reached. They found that most of these cabins were starting to rot because of the moisture. They found that many of the cabins were buried in snow, and they came across and found a shallow grave, which was just actually just holes dug in the snow, where 13 of this group had died. Excuse me. And there was 23. There was about 44 people left in this first group. When the soldiers and the rescue party come upon them, most of the folks were emaciated from hunger. They were too, like, most of them were so weak they couldn't walk, let alone travel. There was one man who his arm was so gangrenous. There's reports that it was hanging on to his body by strands. Which, I mean, let's be honest, at that point, I would say just cut it off.
Yeah, exactly. It's doing me no good.
Just cut off. But like they left it on there. They just left it hanging around.
Listen, Paul really wanted that arm to stay close to him to the end.
Doesn't seem like there was a great deal of competence within the party as a general rule. It seems like there wasn't a lot of smart.
If you look into like the story, every like major decision that came up in their travels, but like I'm not a pioneer. I've never traveled by horse and buggy across the U.S. But I feel like presented some of the options they were presented, there were very clear right answers and very clear wrong answers, and it felt like they just kept choosing the wrong one. And I don't know why.
They had the option to fight the bear or run from the bear. They fought the bear.
Yeah.
Well, that party did fine. I mean, they were all like fucked up the rest of their lives because a bear beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
But they were okay.
As old Davy Crockett said, sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you.
Also, a little side note to that, like that group, nobody went and rescued them because no one realized they stayed there. And like they had a terrible.
Nobody in their right mind would have.
Yeah, they had a terrible winter, and then like when it was done, they had to fucking travel on their own. Some of them just stayed there, like, well, fuck it, this is our land now.
This is where we live now.
This is where we live now. And some of them went and traveled on. But as the soldiers were taking stock, they found that a lot of people couldn't travel. People were too weak, and because like these were families, like they're like, well, so and so can't go, so I'm gonna have to stay. And out of the 23 people left, or out of the 44 people in the party, 23 left with them, and 21 said they were going to stay at their camp until the weather got better and they could bring like horse and carts in or more help to help wheel them out. Spoiler alert, that's not what happened.
What?
Yeah, because the soldiers were like, well, you know what? That's cool. You guys stay here. We brought a bunch of food that we can leave you.
You'll be fine.
It will be fine. It'll work out great. So they left. When they were leaving, they got through the mountains. There was another local pioneer that they came in contact with, and like they kind of told him what they were doing, and that guy felt very bad. And God, man of honor, he's like, well, that's not right. I'm going to get some of the locals together. We'll go in and help rescue some more. The issue with that is by that point, it was a little too late because the food stores that this like kind of first main camp had, they only had it for a couple days because apparently they didn't close it well enough or hide it well enough.
Gosh.
And animals came and took all of their food like 3 days after those soldiers left. They had food for 3 days, and they were like trying to be sparse with it and stuff, to make it last. They didn't know those guys were coming back. It lasted 3 days because a bunch of animals came and took their shit.
You had one job to do. I know it's a tragedy, but that some of this stuff just blows my mind.
Yeah, because I get it, like they're weak and starving, but like. Yeah. I feel like when you're living in the wild, I'd be like, And like, I'm like, food is worth more than money at that point,
Nothing
right?
matters except
Nothing
for
else
protecting this food.
I'd be like, we gotta hide it, bring it into one of our cabins. Like, why are we leaving it outside in the snow? Obviously, it's not stuff that's gonna perish real fast because they've traveled with it for weeks. We're gonna divvy it up amongst the cabins. Nope, left it right out in the snow. Apparently, didn't close well enough, and a bunch of animals got in and took all their food.
Yogi and Boo Boo showing up.
So
Stealing the food.
the 3 camps were in because they were kind of relatively close together. They were in dire straits again.
Well,
So,
the army thinks they're going to be fine for months.
yeah, because like, well, we left them a bunch of food that was gone in 3 days, and they only had little bits. But there was animals who were just loving it. So, anyways, so this local pioneer, he organized this second relief party so they could go in and get these folks. And as they arrived at the camps, they found out that no one had passed away since the prior relief party had left. Sounds good, right? No, because when they arrived at the camps, as they were walking up on the camp, they found a couple people leaving the cabin with a dismembered leg that was missing chunks and going out and putting it into the snow. Upon inspection, they because they kind of like watched it like, hold on a second. And like after the people went back in the cabin, they went back up into the camp where they found a pit in the snow filled with many dismembered bodies, missing a lot of stuff.
How'd those get there?
Well,
Bigfoot.
Here, once
Knew
they
it.
started talking to the people and they found out that they went and talked to people and found out like their food went missing. The people in the camp, the children that got left behind, at first the folks were concerned that the children were going to start starving. So the first thing they started to do was pulling the organs out of the folks that had died and were feeding the children cooked organ meat.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm starting to see some like really good inspiration David Arquette got from this for that role. I'm seeing it now.
Some of the people who seem to be like not in great shape or doing okay, nobody was admitting they were eating dead people, but some people also didn't look like they were starving to death anymore.
Wink, wink.
And there was more than organ meat missing from the bodies.
Little rib here, a little rib there.
The people that you could quite clearly tell were refusing to eat people were now at the point where they were so malnourished and weak that most of them could not move, were starting to go blind, and were becoming very mentally unstable because I'm assuming, one, they were very malnourished, and two, they were watching children and other people eat people. Dead people. Hopefully.
Are they murdering them yet? Or are they just eating the people that have passed?
This first group of camps, we're not murdering nobody.
Okay.
We assume. So this, they decided that they were going to take majority of the women and children and get them the hell out of there. And they pretty much left the men and anybody who's too weak to travel. They beat feet down the mountain. And spoiler alert, that guy did not make another relief trip.
They never went back.
That second group, they're like, no.
Eli, I have a question.
Yeah.
Where are we at on the map right now?
I don't see a map.
No, but like where are they?
They're like it's like kind of like the
And the
border
Sierras around Utah.
Yeah, the Sierra Mountains
Okay.
between like right there in like Utah and Nevada.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Salt Lake region.
Okay. Oh, okay. So the Great Salt Lake Desert. Because I'm looking at a Donner Party map, just kind of like get my bearings straight. See what percentage of the journey they're on. Sounds like they're quite a bit the ways through the journey. This is just where they got stuck.
So between these two relief parties, the kind of like these three groups of people now that were stuck in this camp, they'd rescued many of the first party, many of the second party. No one had quite gotten to the third party yet until the third relief party. And in the third relief party, included one of the members of the original relief party who was still looking for his wife. Remember how I said, remember that, John?
Yeah, you said it was important.
Okay, it's
so
very
we're getting
important.
to the important part.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you why it's important. Okay.
Is she part of the casserole that he eats?
He doesn't eat nobody.
No, but he might not realize it, and he just might get, "Oh, you guys got food. This is great. Oh, what is this?"
Traveling with the relief party, he was well fed.
Okay.
Her, on the other hand,
the third relief party, they arrived at the camp, one of the camps, and they had found by this point many people have died. Many people were buried at this point. They were buried. They did not see them. I'm assuming after the reaction to the last relief party, they thought, you know what? We should probably cover these up.
They put them on ice.
But they had found many had died. And by this point, they had made it to, like, they were able to contact the kind of the third group. As they arrived, they're literally pulling up on the scene. This one gentleman who I also have left out many of the names because some people are still sensitive about this, their relatives that were involved.
Understand.
As they arrived, the man who's looking for his wife is, kind of rushing into camp, wants to save his wife. And a guy comes out of the cabin and tells him, hey, your wife and son died. I had to eat them, survive. Sorry.
Thanks for your loss.
Mm-hmm. This man was very upset.
No,
this happened.
Get out of here, Eli. This guy was. Hey, I don't understand what he's upset about.
But he showed more understanding than I think most because he understood what was happening. But he told that guy, once we
not
get you,
cool, dude.
No. He said, once we get to California, you go your own way. But just know, if I ever see you again, I'll kill you.
What? Wow, this guy's like,
I'm gonna ride with you to California, but then I don't want to see you again.
Yeah. Well,
wow.
The man that had eaten his wife and child, believe it or not, he was concerned that guy might not wait until he got to California.
That's good instinct.
So he literally told them, I'll stay here until you can get another relief party. And he decides,
I've got plenty of meat.
So he decided to stay at the camp. Some other people denied because either they were like too weak to travel or they had family that was too weak to travel and they didn't want them to be stuck there by themselves. Which I'm going to kind of give you a reason why I think that's the case.
Sounds like they're just starting to get a taste of human meat and they didn't want to leave the supply.
Well,
they got the Wendigo.
Wendigoo?
The relief party took who they could and they left. And they were the last relief party. So, as the weather was starting to get better, the snow was starting to melt, it was starting to clear up, it was decided that they were going to send a salvage party out to their camps to collect any maybe valuables, money or belongings that got left behind when they were being rescued. So that way they could give back to the families or to give to the children who had lost their parents so they'd have money to kind of start out on. So the salvage party also figured that, if they found anybody left, which they know at this point they thought everybody was dead. They're like, but if we find somebody, maybe we can try to bring them back. We'll see what's going on. But really, their whole goal was to get stuff. When they arrived, they found that there was no other survivors. They thought. Because they kind of came up upon this like cabin thing, kind of built like in a rocky like cave area. And when they walked inside, because all the cabins were empty of almost anything valuable and of people. But then they found this one lone cabin. And when they walked up to it and they went inside, they found all the valuables, money, gold, anything worth value in there. Pieces of clothing, many human bones, and a pot filled with what they were pretty sure was human meat. And then in walks the guy who told one of the relief party members that he ate his wife and son.
Hi, what y'all doing here?
The people,
dinner will be a minute.
There was people like some of the salvage party. They reported being shocked. They said it was a den of horrors. They said this guy acted real weird and sketchy. He kept telling them, "Oh no, listen, I just did this survive. That's not all human meat. I just did survive. Oh, I collected all the valuables, not for myself, but so I could try to find the children when the weather cleared up and give to the children. I didn't murder anybody to eat them. There's no survivors left. What?
Was he licking his fingers while he was saying all this?
Probably. So that's salvage party side. Everything around here looks like he murdered the rest of the survivors to eat them. They took him into custody, and they with the plan to turn him into the law in California.
So at this point, it's a crime.
Yeah, at this point, it was a crime.
Well, you're enjoying it now, so listen, that's not okay.
It wasn't a crime because he ate people. It was that he murdered and ate people. That's where they drew the line.
Yeah.
You can eat the dead. You eat the living. That's a...
And you stole all the stuff we need. So we need to put you in jail, I think.
Yep. So they took him to California.
So I just want to make sure I'm following here. That salvage party, they were part of this group that was eating people. They left and then came back. Oh, okay.
No. They were
okay.
another
group. 4 people, right?
Yeah, they were 4 people that got sent to get the belongings and anything of value of the people.
Got it.
Who survived.
So they could give it to the children.
It's always
for the children, John.
It's always for those kids, man.
It's for the children, John.
Hey, at least they didn't say it was for the Lord.
That's true. This guy, once they got him to California, they debated for a long time whether or not to press charges, potentially hang him, to figure out what they were doing. Ultimately,
what's the debate?
I'll get to that. Ultimately, It was decided that they were not going to press charges against him, and they let him go. But everyone believed, and including at the time, many of the survivors, because they had some odd tales about what this guy was doing, were very upset about this and had told the town. That guy whose wife and son he ate was still rather upset and wanted to hang him, threatened to murder him. I believe at one point he does beat the ever-loving shit out of him. This guy was so afraid because the town hated him and was so afraid, and he didn't have the resources to leave the town, that he was like this pariah. He basically became a shut-in, barely ever left his house, where he spent the rest of his days until he died because he was afraid to go outside because everyone hated him so much. which they probably should have because I'm pretty sure he murdered and ate people.
Sometimes prairie justice really lets you down.
Well, you know what? One of the reasons why they decided to let him go, don't you?
No.
One of the famous families was the Graves family that were in this, and the one Graves sister survived, who was at first upset when she heard the stories, but
at first,
but she ended up coming out, and asking them not to charge him because they were so hungry, and she also fed her children dead organ meat. She said, you don't know, like she told people, like, you don't know what that type of hunger does to somebody. You're not in control when you're that hungry. We all did terrible things in those mountains. Like he's been punished enough. And she actually, like, she ended up opening a restaurant. She fed people, and like she was kind of known for the rest of her life, like people that were put on death row and were in jail. She would feed prisoners and make sure people on death row got fed up until, because she thought no one should ever die hungry.
Okay.
Yeah. But
what was she feeding them? People?
No, regular food. No,
okay.
What? I actually don't think she ever ate. Like she was like on death's door when they rescued her because like she was like feeding her children. Now there's a couple little fun stories, right?
Okay.
Remember how I talked? So, those indigenous guides that were taking them up in the mountains, they were hanging out with them, and when they started eating dead people, and some of the groups were becoming like if like someone sneezed, they're like, well, he's gonna die, we could probably just eat him now. Let's just put him out of his misery, we can eat him now. They got a little nervous because they're like, they're probably gonna turn on us, and they left and tried to make their way through the mountains to escape them, and they couldn't, and they end up back to the camp, where this may shock you both. They were murdered and eaten.
Because they abandoned them. It was their own fault.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Exactly.
Some of the children, there's reports that a group of the children, the ones that were eating the dead organ meat, they weren't just eating organs. When they found those children, they were like gnawing on bones and stuff, and their mother had basically blockaded herself into the corner of the cabin because these children became so hungry and kind of feral that she was concerned they would eat her in her sleep. And when they rescued the guy, because there's like this side story where like they kind of got separated from the one relief party, and so there was this guy and there was like this mother and like eight or nine children, and he was like starting to go snowblind, and like he was literally having to, when they get through spots, carry one child across at a time and go back. But there were points where he was afraid the children were going to eat them because like the way they were like looking at him and talking, things they were saying. And like nights they camped out, he slept with his pistol on his lap because he thought for sure before they got back to safety that he might have to kill one of those children because that they were going to attack or eat somebody.
Because they were so far gone.
Because they were so far gone by that point.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I have never genuinely been hungry in my life, and I recognize that. And all of this stuff sounds like it's animalistic and brutal, but from what I understand of extreme hunger, starvation level hunger, you're not making reasonable decisions, and you're not living by social contract at that point.
No.
But this stuff, I mean, it just blows my mind.
But I think it just comes to a point where like you're so hungry, like those prehistoric lizard brain instincts kicked in, and it just shuts off everything else.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, listen, we're starving. Lizard man's got to take over for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just take a back seat. And by the time that part of your brain wakens back up, you've done a whole bunch of shit.
But the one mother chucker who had everything kind of stashed in his cabin, the fact that he's stashing the goods in his cabin leads me to believe he had something else going on.
If I remember correctly, like some of the survivors, like once it got down to a couple of them, like one guy was like kind of sick, but they're like, oh, they're coming back. Like he straight up murdered him. There's a woman they believe he murdered. Um, there was no other survivors after that to tell any of his tales.
Right.
They were all in a pot. But that guy, he may have not went to jail, but that guy was punished
Screw
for the
that
rest
guy.
of his life.
Yeah.
He was a shut in his house, couldn't leave. The whole town hated him. His whole town, and he knew if he left that house, someone was probably gonna shoot him.
Probably
So
the husband to start with. Yeah.
Well, there's one like in the one tale, like there's one point he catches up with them, just beats the holy shit out of him, and they stop him from killing him. So they're like, you'll go to. He's been let off. You'll go to jail. Like, don't do that. But he told him, he's like, if I ever come across you again, he's like, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
He told him that many times. Believe it or not, he was upset that guy didn't go to jail.
So what we're finding out is that guy's just a bunch of words. Because it sounds like he ran into him a couple times and didn't finish him off.
Well, no, he tried, but people stopped him.
This is the origin story for Batman, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first Batman.
I do know at one point in the tale, like they ask him about it. He's like, you know what? He's like, that stuff was bad. I like whatever. He's like, I just can't think about that anymore, do that anymore. And then like he's like, do you forgive him? He goes, no.
Yeah, I don't have to.
But it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah. But there's like I'm telling you, like if you look into there's like that was just like what I presented here is literally just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much to this story. It is probably this is gonna sound morbid. It's probably one of my favorite like kind of pioneer like true crimey, like legendy lore story.
Because it's the most famous Continental Divide story out there.
Yeah, it's but there's just so much like anything that could happen to these people happened. Like every step of the way.
Well, and let's be real, a lot of those bad circumstances were direct consequences from them.
Yeah. Oh no, 100%. They every decision they made was like wrong. Because like everybody when I was reading like there was like everybody they said, oh, we're leaving at the end of April, but it's like no,
don't do that.
No. And they're like, no, this guy found the shortcut. They're like, has it been tested? Has anybody taken that? He's like, we wrote a book about it. They're like, that don't sound right.
What does that mean?
That don't sound right. Don't. They're like, nah, it'll be fine. And then they just
we're
left.
Good. We're good,
bro.
We're
like, no, we're never gonna see them again.
Why was that one guy licking his lips the whole time we were talking?
Yeah, like what's going on there? They're like, there was like there's all these crazy stories. Like I said, that story with the bear, which is insane. But like to hear some of them recount what happened, and like it was kind of crazy. They had a lot of eyewitness accounts and like that people report, but like some of the survivors, when it got towards the end of their life, they just kind of quit talking about it. They didn't want to talk about it anymore. They actually, there's like this weird side tale where then a lot of them were like, well, there was no cannibalism. That actually, that was made up.
Story.
That was just made up. The only person in like the kind of their older years survivor that was kind of willing to talk and admit that was the guy who was afraid to leave his house.
Yeah.
He was the only one that stuck to his story to the end of his days.
Because that's why he was stuck in his house.
Like, except for the fact that he's like, I didn't murder anybody, Ethan. And I wasn't going to steal all that stuff. Like, I was holding it because I was going to go find the children.
Right.
Those parts were lies.
For the kids.
And like I said, I hadn't read deep into the story, but the thing I learned, the big takeaway from tonight, and thank you for putting all the facts together, was I had no idea that this group of people was not nearly as isolated as I assumed they were this whole time. I thought they got stuck in the mountains and then it was just them for the entire winter.
Same.
No, they
the fact that they had contacts, but they chose to stay or were told to stay blows my mind even more.
Yeah. I mean, in all fairness, like I get like some people that were weak and like some people wanting to stay because they're like, well, they're too weak to go out and try to like get any stuff on their own. Like I get that, but like some of the women be like, well, I'm gonna stay here, and like the children will stay with me. I've been like, no, you probably take the children.
Yeah.
Because now you have a bunch of weird feral children.
Yeah. Well, and my thought is they're weak because of the place they are.
Right.
Staying there because you don't want to move to safety because you're too weak seems like circular logic that's not going to pan out.
Yeah. And like what's kind of crazy too is like there's these like if you look at some of the stories, like they didn't like some of these little groups that were like around this like kind of this camp area, like some decided to resort to eating dead people real quick.
They were
Some
all for it.
some held out. Like there's a story where like this wife and her husband, like they were one of the one like they kept talking about it. They're like, we could eat the dead. No, we could. And like they kind of held out, and then they kept going out hunting and trying to hunt. And they actually one day managed to catch a deer. And I can't remember how, like, I think they like somehow like impale its throat or cut its throat or something. And like once the blood started like flowing, they became so ravenous they drank the deer dry before they then broke it down for meat. And after they had their belly full of that, they're like, well, fuck it, we must start eating people now. Because like how hard it was to hunt that.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, it was nice to have a belly full of meat. That was hard work catching a deer. We got fresh meat buried in the snow.
That reminds me, there was a book that I read, and I forget the name of it right now, but it's about a guy who was lost at sea on his sailboat. He had gotten caught up in a storm and it ripped his sail. So he's floating around the middle of the Pacific, and he's slowly starving to death and dehydrating. And in that story, I remember there was like one moment that he made sure to give a lot of detail to where he was able to snag a sea turtle. And my apologies, please understand the context of his situation. Obviously he wasn't doing it for sport. He was doing it survival, but he was able to snag a sea turtle. And the first thing he did was he drank its blood for both the hydration, but he said it was like heroin. Like the impact it had on his body was like taking heroin.
Wow.
The amount of energy, he said, I felt like I could like build a new ship at that moment because my body was so, he was so weak that just all the nutrients and stuff in that turtle's blood.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like it's nuts. Like
so I could see it being a rush.
Oh yeah. Like
blood. It's hell of a drug.
Yeah. Like it was like, it's insane. Like the people like, and like, these were like, I mean, they weren't like rich people, but some of these people were like well off. And like, I think this just goes to show people that if you're put in the right situation, we're all just animals.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We're all just animals.
Yeah. Civilization is a construct.
Mm-hmm.
There's my anarchic moment for you.
I like the construct, Dave. Let's not mess it up.
Oh, I do too. I'm doing quite well in the construct.
You mean you don't want to make all the worst decisions in the world, get stuck in the Sierra Mountains, and have to whether to eat somebody or not?
Hard pass.
No, and based on my family heritage, the fact that we weren't in the Donner Party, I think we made some wise decisions.
Like, might not agree. Made it to the Mississippi River, so we were fine right where we were.
Like, there's also a bunch of like these side stories, like that guy whose arm was like hanging on by 3 strands.
Yeah.
Like I read like some people that they had started eating people when he was still alive, and like there was like that's when it kind of started about, well, these people are sick, maybe we just should. And like some people were saying like he just kind of hung on, and like people, I mean, eventually he did die, and I'm pretty sure they ate him. But like I was reading there, like he was adamant that arm stayed on because he thought they wouldn't murder and eat him if they thought he was infected with something, and like he was.
Okay, I can see that.
Maybe he's the smartest guy in camp.
Yeah, well, I mean, not really,
because that logic.
Since he left a rotting, dangling piece of flesh on him, he died of sepsis, basically. Where he
wasn't it. He wasn't it.
But he probably would have survived if he just cut the fucker off. You know.
I don't know. They might have just,
Not if Joe Licky Mouth gets to
There was no blood getting to it. It was gangrenous. It was hanging on by strands. There was no blood getting to that arm.
He's just holding on to it for a weapon, man. He's just waiting for the right moment to pull it loose and smack the other cannibals.
It's been like pulling off a hangnail.
Right. God. Ugh.
You know that one guy is just looking at him, and he's just got that Shaq meme of just...
I'm gonna get you as soon as you close your eyes. I'm gonna even eat that rotted hand. I don't care.
See, I'm just imagining my dog, because as I got like a treat in my hand, he licks his lip. You can see the drool coming off of his jowls. And I mean, I almost lost at least 2 or 3 of my digits to his mouth, because holy moly.
All bets are off when there's a treat at hand.
Dude, that's why you throw them. You do not hand them.
Yeah, as my dogs have gotten older, the cataracts have gotten their accuracy is off. So yes, I don't hand them food anymore.
My dog is young and has terrible accuracy. Like you should see him sometimes we'll go to
Maybe
run.
he just doesn't give an F. Maybe that's his.
I don't know.
situation.
I don't know. I think he's dumb sometimes because he'll even like get a run and jump on the couch and he'll take off running as hard as he can and he'll stretch out his little legs and do a jump and just face first right into the front of the couch, bounce off it and be like, jump on up.
I think I saw him do one of those.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's why Shih Tzus have the stub noses. It's part of their design.
Yeah, he runs and stuff all the time. Like,
Bless their little hearts.
It's their rangefinder, their face. Yep, that was closer than I thought it was.
Interesting fact about the animals, though, Eli. That cats are more likely to eat you if you pass away in the home than the dogs. Dogs will refuse to eat you for much longer than a cat will. Yeah, so for all you cat lovers.
Oh no, there's stories Caitlin. You can see in the like. There's been stories in the paper and stuff you can find where like somebody has like died, even if it's just like old age or accident, and like they've just been in their house 2 or 3 days, and if they have like 1 or 2 cats, like when they're found, like they have been eaten.
Mm-hmm.
I know this isn't going to come out for a while, but I think we should all prepare our formal response to both Caitlin and Matt for the last 3 minutes of this.
What
podcast.
About eating people?
About cats. About bad
cats.
PR towards cats.
Cats. Listen, we have cats. I love my cat. I adopted my cat like 6 years ago. Like she's my buddy, sleeps with me at night. No doubt, because cats like these weird like predators, like they don't give a shit.
It's food. Food is food.
Yeah, cats don't give a shit. Like yeah, they love you as long as that food bowl's full. They go one day without food in that food bowl, you're looking like a tasty treat.
Sounds like Licky Mouth. That's his name now, by the way. He's just Licky Mouth.
What?
The guy at camp.
Oh, I thought you meant my cat. I was like, I've never called my cat that.
Oh, yes, you are.
So, like, that's why I said when we watched Ravenous, like, the whole setup was the Donner Party. You had this, it was the Spanish-American War. You had this fort. Mm-hmm. You had these people stuck in this cave because they fought a guy who said, shortcut he never traveled. And here wasn't a shortcut. And they went there and they ate their shoe leather and stuff. And they got down, there was nothing else. So they started eating the dead people. And then you had one guy in a cave who was murdering and eating real people.
I don't see it. I don't see the connection.
I mean, we live in the technology age, and I have a device that I carry on me at all times that I can get help most anywhere I'm going to go. But if I am out of the country, which in effect these people were, if I'm out of my comfort zone or area of understanding, and some stranger tells me that he can get me where I'm going if I just follow him on a path that's never gone, I'm still not going.
And pay him money to do it.
Exactly.
They paid him money because he's like, I know the shortcut, bros. We can leave as late as we want. It's cool.
And I'm not sure about this guy. Oh, you hush, Lester.
And he showed this map, and he's like, listen, this map, perfect path. Literally took them to the worst terrain in the middle of these indigenous tribes' countries, or properties. The middle. Not anywhere near where anybody could help them, protect them. He took them in the heart. They were like, their stories were like, sometimes they have it's kind of like a funny story because like it got to the point where I think these indigenous people realized like, oh, these are just idiots, and like they just started fucking with them instead of like attacking them, because like at night, like sometimes they say they'd have their wagon train circle and there'd be like hundreds of them surrounding them, and like at first like they were like attacking, like they attacked them a couple times, then they were stealing their livestock and horses and stuff. Then like the ones they couldn't steal, they started killing. And then I think they realized, like, oh, these people are no threat. They're just stupid.
They're going to die soon, so it doesn't matter.
So instead of doing all that, they would just fuck with them. And, like, they would just surround them at night. And, like, they would be quiet for a little bit. Then they just start making a bunch of noises to wake them all up. And, like, they would make these noises for, like, hours. And then they'd stop. And everybody's like, oh, maybe they left. And they would, like, start to go back to sleep. And then they'd start making noises to wake them all up again. And they would do that for, like, weeks. Just follow them and fuck with them.
Oh, my God. Yeah. The original trolls.
And like then like they finally staggered to the base of this fucking mountain range by a lake, and like their leader and some of their best people are like, we're gonna scout ahead, and they're like, what do the rest of us want to do? They're like, fuck it, let's just go up the mountains. What's the,
We're going
what's the worst?
straight up and straight down. That's what
What's
we're
the worst
doing.
that can happen? Do we have any of the supplies to go through the mountains? No. It's snowing. They'll be all right.
Quit asking questions.
Well, we're gonna stand by the lake. We're not. We're gonna go up the mountains.
We got this.
That's what I'm saying. Like when you read this story about all this stuff happens, and you get to the point where these people are like get attacked by a grizzly bear, and you're like, man, how much worse could it happen? And it gets worse.
Oh yeah,
It gets a lot worse.
you had it so easy.
It gets a lot worse.
Lordy.
That's kind of like I said, that is a very tip of the like there's so much of this story and it is fascinating. I definitely recommend if someone likes to read stuff online, got a free time, I would definitely look into the Donner Party. There's
a lot of articles.
There's a lot there to unpack.
So that's 2 campfires in a row where we went straight to cannibalism.
We did. We went two right into cannibalism, yeah. But you know what though?
Very different
aspects of it. It's
been a wonderful aspects. Thanksgiving.
Well, I just figured, world. It's that time of year where people are feeling gluttonous and want to fill their belly. And while you're stuffing your face full of turkey, mashed potatoes, what'd you think? Good thing I was with Donner Party, put meat, like human meat in my mouth. And don't blame me if you're like, well, but Eli, now I can't eat my Thanksgiving because I'm thinking it's human meat. Good. Be grateful. That's what the time of year means.
That's what bah humbug's going to give you.
Yeah. Be thankful you're not eating human meat in the mountains. Okay. With your one arm raw and hanging off by 3 strands. You just didn't get attacked by a grizzly bear at the lake. Okay.
Because Licky Mouth's going to get you.
That Licky Mouth isn't in your party, just murdering y'all, eating you, and stashing all your belongings. Because, like, honestly, like, if you think you're going to be stuck there and live there and eat people, what do you need their belongings for?
Exactly. What is the end game?
What is their valuables going to do for you?
Yeah.
So he's basically Gollum.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, yeah. Unless he thought, like, oh, when it's spring, I mean, yeah, I'm out of human meat, but I'll just walk right on down here, got all this valuable stuff. It'll be fine.
I probably shouldn't go to the part of California we were all going to, but I'll go make a living somewhere else.
Yeah, but there wasn't a whole lot to California yet.
No.
So, like, he was going to have to go there.
Options.
But also, like, Dave, say you're Licky Mouth, right?
I'm Licky Mouth, right?
We'll say you're Licky Mouth. So, you're at this camp. You're having to eat people. You're like, oh, I know this is that guy, one guy's wife and son. I hope I never see him again. All of a sudden,
this doesn't come up in conversation.
Yeah. All of a sudden, I come strolling up into camp with a rescue party to rescue guys, and I'm looking for my wife. Are you gonna run out and go, hey, sorry, bro, I ate them?
Oh, hey, Eli.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have news.
Oh, yeah. What kind of news you got?
I got good news and bad news.
I'm looking for my wife and son. You know where they're at?
Yeah, they got really homesick and they left about a week ago.
They left?
Yeah, we gave them a bunch of supplies and wished them luck.
Well, they just left by themselves. Which way did they go?
Yeah, they left you a note, but I ate the note. That's the part.
Why'd you eat the note?
I was so hungry.
I was so hungry.
Oh. Well, what direction did they go?
Oh, yonder. Yonder.
Wait, you guys go to the rescue party. They brought food and stuff. They're gonna save you. I'm gonna go this way and see if I can try to find a trap.
Yeah, you should be able to catch them. I mean, they were on foot and they only have about a week's head start. So next week or so, you should catch them. Good luck.
Hey,
okay.
I really appreciate you telling me that. Thank you.
Hey, I took good care of them while they were here.
Oh, I wish you could have made them stay.
They just missed you so much, my man.
Hey, Licky Mouth,
much.
Make sure he goes to that leaf patch over there and walks in and through there. They went through that way.
Exactly.
I don't know if I would walk him into a trap considering he's got soldiers with guns with him.
I'm just going to let him wander out into the wilderness.
How hard was that? It's like, why would your first instinct be like, oh man, there's that guy, his wife and kid. Oh, he's got food and supplies to save me.
He's just going to rip that Band-Aid off.
I better go tell him now before he has a psychic dream and figures it out.
That is not a clear your conscience conversation.
I would wait.
He just wanted to die. Maybe that he was just like, what?
He had a funny way to show it by murdering and eating people. To live.
Doesn't seem like
That's like saying, I'm actively trying to quit cigarettes when you have a whole pack in your mouth.
while you're cutting tobacco.
Yeah, like it just doesn't seem like that's how that should work, John.
Well, when we got a guy with a bunch of soldiers walking up on you, and you're like, "Oh crap, what am I gonna do?" Well, it was good, nice knowing y'all. I gotta go.
And I get it. Maybe Dave's just more morally ambiguous than Licky Mouth is. Maybe he's just a more ethically strong guy.
Well, I feel like
I'm not about to tell anybody I hate their wife and kids.
Yeah. Well, or I feel like if you do, that is not the right moment.
Not out of the gate. Not out of the gate.
I would just be like, "Oh, where's my wife, kid?" Like, listen, I'm sorry.
We need to talk.
They passed away. Look at that. Where are they buried?
There.
Well, there's a little cat hole.
You know what?
There.
Maybe
some of
that's
them's over there, and then I had the outhouse has a couple of.
You know what? Now that I'm saying that, maybe that's why he decided to get it. Because if you just said, "Oh, they passed away," they're like, "Where? I want to take them to bury them on our farmstead." I'd be like,
remains.
See,
you got to think like Dave, Eli. They left. They are not here.
You know, he should have said, "Oh no, they stay at the lake." That's all he should have said. "Oh no, they stay at the lake. They're afraid to come up here." Because it's like then he's like, "Oh, we'll take you guys, and I'm gonna head to the lake." At that point, you got days between them.
Eli, see, your problem there is you're still not thinking snake brain like Dave, because that story is going to fall apart too as soon as he gets to the lake.
Okay, well,
my story is never going to fall apart because
there's other survivors there, so they've been like, "No, you did, you fucking ate them." So I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, how are you gonna keep all the survivors from talking? But maybe they want to talk because some of them ate people too.
Exactly.
You know what? You're right. You make a pack. You're like, listen, what we've done here.
These MFers are going to get one story, and this is the story.
This is the story. Does anybody want to tell a different story? Cool. We're going to kill and eat you now. Cool. Thank you for dinner.
Thanks for volunteering.
Bob, stab him in the neck. Now. Oh, thank you, Bob. All right, go ahead. Throw him in the pot. Anybody else have a different story? Oh, we all have the same story? Great.
Fantastic.
Awesome. We saw them coming up the mountain from a distance. They should be here tomorrow. Awesome. Make sure we clean this pot out, right? We'll make sure we clean this pot
out. Is that, or you just feed them? Brains. You feed them to people, then not knowing, and then hey, now you're one of us.
You know what? I hope I don't get stuck in that situation with you, John, because that idea is terrible.
Hey, they tried that in Ravenous, or like become one of us.
But that's different though, because like they were in a camp, so like when they were going to feed the general, they could be like, "Oh, this is just deer meat." But like if they walk up onto my camp, there's no food or supplies. But I'm like, "Hey, I got this pot of cooked meat. Where did you get the meat?
And why do you have a gut?"
Yeah.
There was this really stupid deer who wandered in here, and
that's a really long leg bone for a deer.
Well, he was a very stupid, malformed deer. We took care of him.
It was a Wendig deer.
Why doesn't it have any fur? It's got skin.
It's a friggin' Wendig deer. Quit asking questions.
Yeah. Are you hungry?
We ate it.
Are you just hungry? Shop and eat.
Exactly. Stop asking questions and eat the food.
I think Dave and I'd be good. I don't know if I want to be in your camp, John. I just feel like your camp, I'm going to get caught.
Well, I mean,
just remember, I'm the moral reprehensible one.
Yeah, but I like that idea of like we all have one story, because I can be like, you know what, we had to do this to survive. I didn't kill anybody to eat them, except for Bob, who said he had a different story.
No one's going to be that sane to agree.
And no one liked Bob. Who cares? We'll just all play dumb. We'll just bury what's left of people real deep in the snow.
But remember, mark them because we'll need them later.
Yeah, well, no, because if you see them come up the hill, as soon as I saw them come up the hill, I'm like, okay, they're gonna be here in like a half a day. I'm like, everybody, start chucking the body over the fucking mountain. Over the other side. Then you got these people at the lake. They just see body parts slide down. They're like, what the hell is happening up there? They're all dead.
Oh, cannibalism.
Yeah, but that was a Donner Party.
And we told it with aplomb and respect.
I did. That was an information-heavy episode. Like I said, if you are interested and you want to learn more, like I said, it's a crazy tale. Definitely recommend reading The Indifferent Stars Above. It's a really good book.
I just hate that Jeff missed Licky Mouth. I think he would have had a lot to say about Licky Mouth.
I think he would question why is he called Licky Mouth.
That's a question you don't ask.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think you need to ask a question to figure that one out.
I think there's better names than Licky Mouth.
But are there whimsical names better?
I mean, are you considering Licky Mouth as whimsical? You know what Licky Mouth sounds like? It sounds
Mickey
like
Mouse?
Well, a little bit. I was going to say, it sounds like this weird cryptid that lives under a bridge, and they're like, oh, if you walk across this bridge, he just like licks your toes.
Ooh.
Like, that's what Licky Mouth sounds like. Don't let your toes get licked by Licky Mouth.
Yeah, in my mental image, I think my Licky Mouth was much more akin to old Greg.
Oh, old Greg.
I like the weirdo troll that lives under the bridge that licks your toes. It's kind of funny.
I think they're one and the same, man. Old Greg's pretty messed up.
Yeah, but like,
you know, he would eat and store people, John. Let's be honest. He would 100%.
For sure. After he drank, what did he drink from a boot?
Oh, he had to drink his Irish
Bailey's.
His Bailey's cream.
From a boot.
Yeah, but like, it's kind of like, that's scary. Oh, you know, but like, if you're like, oh, he's just a weirdo that likes to lick your toes when you cross the bridge, because I'd be like, why are you walking across the bridge barefoot?
I'm really
to your toes.
See, I'm really upset where you don't get to hear Sheila's reaction to Licky Mouth.
That's what I'm saying.
Because I'm pretty sure
dated Licky Mouth.
Exactly. I want to hear that story.
He's got stories on him. Maybe next time we'll store that for later use.
Yeah. Our party, no, we deserve a little respect.
Exactly.
Not Sheila coming dirtying it all up.
But hey, today, Sheila.
I'm sure she's eating worse than human meat.
If she's eating at Golden Corral, she has.
Listen, they do not serve human meat at Golden Corral.
I am not here for your defense of Golden Corral tonight.
Listen,
I don't know who's paid you off.
No one. It's
clearly not Golden Corral because I've not seen the check.
Ever in Morgantown, go to the good Golden Corral. Okay.
Please don't.
They're sponsoring this podcast for free.
I just want to
sponsoring it for free. Okay.
Yeah.
I want somebody, if they go into Morgantown and they go to any Golden Corral and be like, hey, is this the good Golden Corral? I want that on tape.
Yeah, that's a great idea. This is a challenge that goes out to our audience. If any of you are close and bold enough to get to the Morgantown Golden Corral and write us an actual written review, I will post it on our website and maybe throw you a little swag for it. 'Cause I would love to see photos and stuff and hear your story of how full of crap Eli is about this.
You only get the swag if you don't conform to these fools' opinion. And you're honest that it's a good Golden Corral.
Wait, so they have to agree with you to get the swag? Well,
yeah, that's correct.
As the holder of the swag, I'm taking that rule off the table.
But if you agree with me, I'll sign the swag, which means nothing.
Which you don't have. I don't know how you're going to sign it because you don't have it.
Oh, if you agree with me,
I'll buy you swag.
Send you my own swag that I'll sign and put a little tidbit of the truth in it. Which means nothing. I'm nobody, but you have my signature.
You know what? This is the situation where honesty is the best policy, just like Licky Mouth.
Exactly.
He'll lick your toes.
Y'all get out there and get to work. Get to the Golden Corral. They'll be very confused to see you.
You know what? They'll keep them alive. They need your money right now.
Review. We need it immediately so we can shut this whole side plot down permanently.
Never. Listen, there's 3 things I know in this world.
Where the good Golden Corral is.
Horses can't look up.
Horses can't look up. Babies can't walk backwards. And there's only one Golden Corral, and it's in Morgantown. It's delicious. Those are 3 things I know in this life.
Those are 3 things.
3 things that are proven facts.
Empirical truths.
Hey, has anybody ever seen a baby walk backwards? No. Has anyone ever seen a horse look up? No. I've been to that good Golden Corral. It's good. 3 facts.
Dear audience, if any of you have toddlers, please videotape your child walking back.
No, because they'll push them or like tie like dental floss around them and pull them back. Like I know how people.
So everything is a conspiracy if it doesn't align with these truths.
Because I know the truth, Dave. I know the truth. No one knows the truth like I know the truth. Okay.
So you're basically akin to that dude that wrote that book of that shortcut that nobody ever been on.
Exactly.
But everybody's got to believe you.
Truth, no. Listen, I'm not here selling snake oil. All right. My truths
All
are
right, Licky Mouth.
tried, true, and tested. All of them. As I said, you can't trust anyone in this world. You can trust the Mole King.
You can't trust anybody. You can trust the Mole King.
You can trust the Mole King. Mole King won't steer you wrong. But hey, on that note, everybody, thanks for listening to another episode of the Wicked Wild's Campfire Tales. We hope you leave this one feeling hungry and maybe go to get a burger. If you enjoyed listening, please give us a 5-star rated review on iTunes and Spotify. If it's on iTunes, leave us a little comment. Make sure it's nice. Tell, you know what? Just leave this comment. We'll know you're a true believer in Mole King we trust.
Or Licky Mouth.
I prefer in Mole King we trust. I prefer in Mole King we trust, or that you prefer my version of Licky Mouth, that he's a weird troll that lives under a bridge just to lick your toes. One of those two things will be fine. One of those things will be appreciated. Remember, check out our website.
I prefer in Sheila we trust. Thanks.
You son of a gun. Dave, do you want to talk about a lot of crazy cool stuff happening with our website?
Nah.
All right,
Merry Christmas.
You look at it. Just look at it. It's fine.
On our website, we've got a new section. We mentioned it last week on the main show. But thewickedwild.com is our website. And we have had movie reviews, book reviews, and stuff like that. We've added a new section that's called Regional Cinema Road Trip. And our buddy Joe Ferry has joined the team and is doing some really cool regionally specific films and stories that are only about half movie review, but as much movie review as it is, there's also this whole section that he does on the local culture and history of that region, which is really cool. And on top of that, Eli and Jeff are going to be adding in some of their field reports from the Wicked Wild field investigative team. And they've got a couple on there already from their Mothman and from the Kecksburg. Yep. So you can go check those out too.
Yeah. I'll tell you where to go to find the real truth. You can also check us out on Twitter at Wicked Wild We Are. Oh, look at me getting it. Yay. You see that? See how I did that right there? Look at that.
Nailed it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. A lot of fun stuff happening here. Once again, I hope you enjoyed. And remember, everybody, you can't trust no one, but you can't trust the Mole King.
And God help us all if you believe that.
Yeah, no shit.
Believe it. It's true facts. Bye, everybody.
Laters.